How's it going, Rams? Welcome back to another night of Monday Night Sports. I'm Madeline Davis.
And I'm Brendon Fairbairn. With basketball back in Moby, volleyball chasing for a title as they wrap up their regular season, and football, well, limping to the finish line. A lot of Rams action happened over the weekend. We'll fill you in on everything with the green and gold.
Ella returns to the TV to highlight some things to look forward to throughout Colorado sports this week as more and more events get back to action.
And like always, we're back for some more conversation in Hot or Not. Tune in to see what we'll talk about this week. All that and more on CTV Sports, which starts right now. To start the night off, CSU basketball is finally back, and man, are they off to an explosive start. Starting the season off a perfect 3-0 with dominant double-digit victories over Oral Roberts, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Peru State. And what makes these wins even more impressive is that this 3-game stretch was over just a 6-day span. Yesterday night, they ended off this opening season homestand in their first ever meeting against Peru State. From the jump, the stars from the Rams shined early, with junior Isaiah Stevens pouring in the first 8 points of the game to help CSU build up the lead to 16 at the half, 46-30. And in a matchup against a Division II school, this one was never in doubt. Now, a slow start in the second half for the Rams allowed the Bobcats to stay within 14 for the half's first 8 minutes, but after CSU found their footing later on, PSU couldn't get any closer the rest of the way. With a decisive 11-0 run to finally salt the game away. Against the Bobcats, the Rams shot great from the field with a .559 field goal percentage compared to the Bobcats' .453. CSU also outboarded Peru State by 9 thanks to junior guard John Tange coming up big once again with a career-high 8 rebounds. Even though they've been beating up on lower competition, what impresses me the most out of this squad is their incredible depth they have with multiple players in the double digits for scoring. Junior David Roddy finishes just shy of a double-double with 17 points and 9 rebounds, while fellow junior Isaiah Stevens had 16 points and 3 dishes of his own. Sophomore Isaiah Rivera also had an efficient night, finishing with a career-high 13 points on 5 of 7 shooting, and senior Chandler Jacobs chipped in with 10. On the other side, Peru State was led by Skylar Wilson with 13 points, the only Bobcat player in double figures. After this one, the Rams will travel far away from home, making their longest road trip of the year to compete in the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam, starting with Bradley on Friday morning. The winner advances to Sunday's semifinal against either Brown or Creighton, while the loser will play in the consolation bracket on Saturday. This early season tourney will definitely be a great test for CSU. Madeline, I love this great and hot start for CSU basketball, but this Paradise Jam tournament, I think they can take it, but the only team I see really standing in their way is Creighton.
I agree.
They were in the March Madness tournament, still good.
Yeah. No, I mean, overall, I just want to say I'm so invested in this season. This is finally a sport that, is actually, a sport that I care about, or I guess a team that I care about that's, actually has a chance of doing something. Yeah. So I'm really invested this season.
CSU football really needs to thank basketball. They are taking the heat off of them. So high hopes for CSU basketball, though.
Yeah, but speaking of CSU football, after all of that uplifting news with men's basketball, it's now time to crash down to earth a little bit and switch things up to the gridiron. Coming off of a crushing loss at the border, CSU football hoped for a much-needed bounce-back win when they took on the Air Force Falcons under the lights at Canvas Stadium on Saturday. But unfortunately for Ram fans, just like last week, the Green and Gold once again saw themselves embarrassed by one of their rivals, with Air Force leading all night and eventually ending up on top 35-21, extending Colorado State's losing streak to 4. But hey, I'm in a positive mood tonight, so before we hop into what went wrong, let's actually take a look at what went right for this Rams team. To start, CSU was way more productive when it came to their red zone offense against the Falcons, crossing the goal line 3 out of the 4 times they reached the Air Force red zone. The first one came on a Todd Centeo 15-yard run, the second one on a 1-yard David Bailey plunge, and the third came once again from David Bailey when he took a handoff from 14 yards out and took it to the house. But now, while the Rams may have had a better day on offense, CSU's defense was shaky once again, having no answers on how to stop an Air Force team that is defined by their dominant running game, and ultimately gave up 509 total yards in the process, including 4 rushing touchdowns by the visitors, and for once, one that didn't come from the option, when Hazik Daniels hit a wide-open Brandon Lewis for a 92-yard touchdown strike, the longest pass in Falcon history. And similar to the border war, penalties also came back to bite the Rams, with 8 for a total of 67 yards. And just like the YO game, CSU QB Todd Centeio once again threw a pair of interceptions, including one in the Air Force red zone to end any hopes of a CSU comeback. Overall, the Green and Gold had more passing yards than Air Force with 173, but with no surprise, the Falcons preferred to get things done with the rush, with 388 on the ground for an average 5.6 yards per carry, almost 3 times more than what CSU had at 135. Additionally, the Falcons also had a solid fourth down efficiency, going 4 for 4 on the defining down, whereas the Rams only went 1 for 2. If CSU wants to break this 4-game losing streak next Saturday against Hawaii, they'll really have to step it up defensively, to say the least. And although there may be a glimmer of hope for the CSU team, as Hawaii does have a losing streak of their own and is only 5-1 in conference play, including an L to San Jose State, a team in which the Rams absolutely crushed back in October. But as we saw last week in Wyoming, past records mean nothing. I guess only time will tell if this team can finish their 2021 season on a high note. Well, as someone who went to every home game this year, it was not the best season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll just say that.
Yeah, you really don't know what you're going to get with this CSU football team.
It's so random. Like you watch like that San Jose State game and like Toledo and even Iowa. Like you had so much hope and you were like, wow, they're really kind of like they're turning things around. And then like ever since that loss at Utah State, it's just all gone downhill.
Yes, ever since that whole thing with the final 11 seconds. All I'm going to say is fire Joe Parker, fire Steve Adazio. This is embarrassing. I'm done talking about CSU football. It's honestly, it's so repetitive at this point. I'm saying 300 rushing yards a game plus. That's ridiculous. It needs to change.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry to ruin your positive.
No. Well, we can get back into it with some basketball.
Yes, absolutely. We got some more positive news for you guys. CSU women's basketball is also undefeated on this young season after a double-digit victory over the University of Northern Colorado on Friday, 50-61. The first quarter of the match really tested the Rams' defense, allowing the Bears to shoot 50% from the field and hit 5 shots from behind the arc, compared to the Rams, who put up 5 of 13 and only 1 3-pointer. And while the second period was a slight improvement from the first, CSU still struggled to close the gap with the Bears. By the time the half rolled around, Colorado State was trailing by 10 before they finally turned up the heat in the second half, shooting a solid 8 of 15 in the third quarter, including 1 of 2 from the 3, helping improve their shooting percentage from 34.6 in the first half to a 45.2 in the second, and most impressively of all, taking a rate from behind the arc that was at 18.2 to all the way to a 55.6. And on the other side of the ball, the Rams defense also came to play as halftime rolled around, holding UNC to only 20 points in the last 2 quarters, while CSU dropped 41. To look at the stats, Carly Murphy, Kendall Kinzer, and McKenna Hofschild led the team offensively, with Kinzer and Hofschild putting up 10 and 12 points respectively, and Murphy going for 14. But defensively, the team had 3 blocks from Kinzer and 2 steals from Murphy. Murphy also led the team in rebounds with 13, where she dropped 14 points to post a double-double, a major factor behind a Rams victory. As I speak right now, the women's basketball team is taking on the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles at Moby Arena for their 3rd game of the season. Tomorrow night, Brandon Cruz will have the recap on tonight's game, so we'll just have to see how it goes.
Just like the women's basketball team, the volleyball team also secured a win in Moby this weekend. The Rams finished out their home season with, yes, another Mountain West sweep, which ensured a perfect season at home against Mountain West opponents. The Rams lost out in Fresno earlier in the year, but the Bulldogs may have underestimated just who they were dealing with, seeing CSU come back in the rematch between these two to sweep the Bulldogs in straight sets and show everyone that there's nothing better than revenge. Overall, though, even with the 3-0 final score, this definitely wasn't a runaway victory for the Rams. Fresno put up quite the fight, contributing to close set scores, but at the end of the afternoon, it was CSU's .235 hitting percentage compared to Fresno's .179 that ended up putting the Rams on top of each round by the slimmest of margins, 25-23, 25-22, and 25-23. In this home win, junior Annie Sullivan led CSU in kills with 13, while seniors Alyssa Burt and Alexa Rumiliotis also came through to make contributions to the victory and celebrate Senior Day, with Rumiliotis putting in 14 digs and Burt earning 10. Sophomore Barrett Power got the start at setter, where she was able to secure a season-high 38 assists to cover for Sierra Pritchard, who was out with an illness. Power said this about her first start in a while. Quote, "You never want to see a teammate not be able to play. That's really hard, but I prepare every day like I'm the starter. So when my number was called, I was ready, and it was fun." End quote. The Rams had quite the season at Moby this year and close out the regular season on the road with matches against the Utah State Aggies and the Boise State Broncos to try and secure that top spot in the Mountain West. For CSU fans, hopefully they can bring another conference title back to Fort Collins. Well, Brendon, if those last two games were at home, I would say easy. They've got it in the bag. But they have been really shaky on the road, especially after their last road game, losing to Wyoming.
I know. I was really surprised about that Wyoming loss. I thought they were going to win. They were only 6-8.
They were up 2-0.
I know.
And they came back and lost in 5.
That's a big choke. See, that's what scares me in the Mountain West tournament.
Yeah.
See, I have high hopes. I want them to make it all the way.
Me too.
I think they can. I really think they can make it all the way. But at the same time, they have a record of choking in the playoffs, even like a few years ago with South Carolina State.
I don't know.
So we'll just have to see how it goes. Like I said, still have high hopes for them, but these last two home games is going to really determine if they can at least get the regular season title.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so.
And Rams, that's all the gold and green talk we have for you tonight. Or is it, Madeline?
Yeah, Brendon. Ella returns to Where to Watch later on in the show to give you a preview of the over 3,000-mile journey CSU football takes to face off against Hawaii. You won't want to miss it. That plus the waiver wire and so much more coming up on CTV Sports.
I did.